I do want to thank you all for joining us today. I am Caitlin Giles McCormick here with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. Today's session is an informational overview on two grant programs from CSIT, the Round 2 Catalyst R&D Pilot Seed Grant Program and the Food and Agriculture R&D Pilot Seed Grant Program. The goals of these programs are pretty specific, and if they aren't exactly the right fit for you, we encourage you to check out our many other programs that the NJEDA provides. Now, to formally get us started, I'm going to shift things over to the program manager of NJEDA's Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology, Maku Etta. Maku?
Thank you, Caitlin. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us here today. Today, the Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology launches two seed grant programs. During today's webinar, I will be providing an overview of each grant, eligibility requirements, application and submission processes, scoring, and timeline. As Caitlin mentioned, we'll leave some time at the end to answer any questions, and please, again, put your questions and comments in the Q&A section for my colleague Francis to capture. The Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology is responsible for strengthening the innovation economy within the state, encouraging collaboration and connectivity between industry and academia, and the translation of innovation into successfully high-growth businesses. We do this by providing these financial grants to early-stage innovation-based companies to accelerate key product development. Many of these products, specifically those that we'll be talking about today, are addressing both socioeconomic and health challenges in New Jersey, nationally, and globally. Governor Murphy's Economic Development Plan identifies both life science and non-retail food and beverage as two of the strategic sectors for accelerating growth in New Jersey's economy. These grants will support New Jersey startups in these vital sectors. Both grants will be designed to help our New Jersey startups accelerate their R&D from the research stage to commercially viable products and services. Our agenda today, after the welcome, I'll provide a program overview, the submission process. We'll talk a little bit about the timeline, eligibility criteria, required documents. We'll go over the scoring criteria and bonus points, terms and conditions, and important details. So let's jump right in. The first seed grant that we will be offering, which launched today, is our Food and Agriculture R&D Pilot Grant Program. It is intended to support innovation from research and entrepreneurs focused on developing technologies and other solutions to address food insecurity in New Jersey. The program seeks to identify and implement ways to increase access to nutritious food and develop new approaches to alleviate food deserts in New Jersey. Targeted industries for this particular grant, companies must propose ideas in the areas of life science, technology, food and beverage, transportation, and logistics. This grant will be awarded on a competitive basis, with awards going to the highest scoring applicants. Eligible applicants can receive grants awards of up to $75,000. Each approved grant will be valid for a period of 12 months. The next grant that we are offering today is the Round 2 of the Catalyst Seed Grant Program in the areas of therapeutic drug discovery. Building off a very successful Round 1, the Catalyst Seed Grant aims to help New Jersey-based early-stage innovation companies accelerate development of technologies and therapeutics to transform new therapeutic drug discoveries from the research stage into commercially viable products. it's very important that for this round of the Catalyst Seed Grant, we are only focusing on therapeutic drug discovery. This unfortunately does not include proposals in the medical devices area or diagnostics. But we're happy to talk through projects if you have any questions on the targeted industry. The grant, again, will be awarded on a competitive basis, and awards are given to the highest scoring applicants. These grants are up to $150,000, and each approved grant will be valid for a period of 12 months. Both grants are strictly for research and development. If you are proposing a project that's more on the commercialization and manufacturing side, these are not the grants for you. There has to be a strong research and development component. The use of funds. The grant funding can be utilized, again, for project research and development activities. Within the budget, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, no more than 30% can be proposed in the areas of marketing. So marketing and customer discovery, specific to the innovation, IP, patent, and conference registration fees that are pertaining specifically to your proposed project. Now, what are some of the ineligible use of these funds? Please be mindful of these ineligible uses, as again, you'll be required to submit a budget with your proposal. Direct services to individuals or organizations, manufacturing of products for sales or commercial use, real estate rental expenses, patient clinical trial expenses, construction costs, travel, entertainment, and other similar expenses, allocations of general overhead expenses, any expenditures incurred before the effective date, the date representing the last date of the execution of the grant agreement. So any current work that you're doing on your project cannot be accounted for within your budget. Any expenses for equipment and materials that the applicant does not use for the project during the project period. And as mentioned earlier, fees related to conferences that are not associated with the project. So let's walk through the application sections. For both of our seed grants, you'll be required to develop a login. The applications are currently live on the njeda.com/CSIT on the individual program pages. Once you click on the link, you'll be directed to a welcome page, and then you'll be required to develop a user ID and password. That user ID and password will allow you to go back and forth in the application portal until you've submitted your document. Once you submit your document, you cannot go back and make any changes. Once the first screen that you'll see within the application is the welcome and eligibility questions. Please be very mindful of these eligibility questions. They do determine whether or not you're eligible for each of the seed grants, and we'll go over them in a moment. You'll be required to provide some company information, primary contact information. This will be the main person that we will be contacting for any additional information. If your company is awarded, they will be the individual that receives all of the correspondence, including the award letters and/or decline letters. So please be mindful of who the primary contact person will be. The project description is the main part of the application. This is where you provide your narrative of your innovation. There is a budget and milestone document that you will be required to complete, as well as several questions on how do you intend to use the funds. Again, please be mindful on how thorough you are with your milestones, and make sure that the budget sheet does not include any ineligible items. This template there will be a link on the application. You click on the link and the template will pop up, and you just complete and upload the completed template. You'll be asked a few go-to-market strategy questions, which we'll talk a little bit more about. We ask for information on your team, the individuals that will be specifically working on the project, but you'll also provide us information on anyone who works directly for the company. That's founders, consultants, contractors within an employee log. Based on one of the eligibility requirements, we do have a 50% 50% eligibility requirement of individuals living in New Jersey, and we'll go over that in a moment. And we calculate that through that employee log in the application. There will be a section where we'll ask you to acknowledge a virtual presentation. We've added this component to our application process. This is a 30-minute presentation that eligible applicants are able to conduct. This allows them to provide a little bit more information on their project. CSIT and subject matter experts participate in these virtual presentations. While they are not scored, they do again allow applicants to dive a little bit deeper into their innovation. There's a list of required documents that you are required to upload, and we'll go over those in later slides. There is a legal questionnaire that you must sign, and then you're able to submit your application. And again, once you submit your application and all of your documents, you will not be able to go back into the system to change any information. And we'll talk a little bit about what happens if you're missing documents within your submission process. So let's talk about the submission process. Step one, you've completed your application and you've submitted your application. CSIT then goes through a very detailed document completeness review. This is where we review all of the required documents and we see if anything is missing. If there are documents that are missing, we provide you with a resubmission letter, which states the documents that we require, and you're given 10 business days to submit these documents by email. You do not go back into the portal. You would submit them to us by email. Once we've reviewed the application and all of the documents, have been submitted by the deadlines that they are provided, and we'll go over the deadlines in a moment, we will then deem your application as complete. We'll schedule those virtual presentations with all complete applicants. Once the virtual presentations have been completed, the scoring phase begins. We internally score all applications using both CSIT and EDA staff. After all of the applications are scored, we present award recommendations to our CSIT board for approval. This is the submission timeline. It's very important that you keep these dates in mind. The application launched today, June 5th. The application closes on July 14th at 5 p.m. We use an online system and it will automatically close at 5 p.m. We always encourage applicants to not wait until the last minute because the system will close and we are not allowed to reopen the system. So do not wait 20, 30 minutes before 5. Sometimes your clock is maybe slower or faster. You don't want to take that chance. Submit it in a good amount of time so the system does not close. Once we receive all the applications, as I mentioned, we do a resubmission deadline. And for applicants that we've received their application on the 14th of July, it takes us some time to review it and send you back that resubmission letter for you to send us documents that we need. And for those applicants, they'll have up until the 4th. Now, let's be clear, the 4th is not when you submit your application. This is just for those missing documents for applicants that have submitted on the 14th. Presentations by the applicants, we will be conducting those around the end of August into mid-September. Again, these are 30-minute presentations, and we send out an email that talks a little bit about the presentation format. Tax clearance and bonus documentations are due on October 6th. The tax clearance and bonus is one of the required documents for both seed grants. You have to be a registered New Jersey company, and as a registered New Jersey company, you will be able to obtain a tax clearance. If we do not receive the tax clearance document by October 6th, your application will be declined. For bonus points, we also require several documents, and we'll talk about the bonus points. For eligible applicants, if they are to receive bonus points, we do need to receive those documents. And by bonus points, we're talking about minority, women, veteran state certifications. We're also talking about a signed license agreement with a university partner. These documents are due October 6th for bonus points to be applied to eligible and complete applications. You won't be declined as the tax clearance, but you will not be able to receive those bonus points. Again, the tax clearance must be in by the 6th. The scoring phase will happen roughly around early October 7th to the 13th. And we aim to make award announcements in the 4th quarter in 2023. The grant term is for 12 months, and awardees have the ability to request a 3-month no-cost extension for both seed grants. So let's talk a little bit about who is eligible to participate. You have to be authorized and in good standings to conduct business in New Jersey, as evidenced again by a New Jersey tax clearance certificate. The certificate must list the Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology on the document, or we are not able to accept that. And again, you must submit this document by the latest October 6th. You must have a minimum of 1 full-time worker. Full-time is 35 hours per week. A worker may be the founder. It can be counted as a worker. They can also be paid or unpaid, but it must be 1 full-time worker. 50% or more of the cumulative hours worked by all workers, founders, and contractors must be conducted in New Jersey. Have no more than 25 full-time equivalent workers at time of the application, and less than 2 million in previous calendar year sales revenue, excluding grant revenue. So if you're receiving federal SBIR grants or grants from other state or federal sources, we do not count those as sales revenue. Lastly, no one on your team can own more than 1% of stock of the applicant. No one on the team that owns more than 1% can be an employee or officer of any agency of the state. This is extremely important. An agency of the state can include a public university. So if there is anyone that owns more than 1% stock on your team that works for any of our public universities, unfortunately, the company is not eligible for this grant. And this is something that CSIT we're trying to quickly change. Some of the documents that you will be required to upload at the end of your application includes a proof of concept. This can be a published paper outlining results, a a description of your proof of concept, an SBIR, grant or contract, or even confirmation document from a university tech transfer office. So any of those can be counted as your proof of concept. Again, you'll have a budget and milestone document that you'll be required to complete and upload. Employee information. This includes W-2s, 1099s, K-1s, documents from all employees of the company. We require a summary of the most recent internal payroll, most recent company tax filings. We require that tax clearance. And for bonus points, we require minority women or veteran-owned business New Jersey state certification. You will have to sign the application certification, complete a legal debarment questionnaire. And for the food and agriculture program, you will have to complete a non-involvement in Russia-Belarus certification. This is only required for the food and agriculture grant program application. And for companies that are also have a DBA, you're doing business as a different company name, we require proof of a New Jersey registration reflecting that. We'll have to do, we want to be mindful of that, and we also have to do a legal review of your company. So we'll require that document. So as a competitive, both of these grants are highly competitive. We'll walk through the scoring criteria and the bonus points. All applicants must achieve a minimum score of at least 70 in the following criteria to be eligible for a grant. We score our applications within 6 category areas. Innovation, up to 30 points. Most of the program description will speak to what is the innovation, please describe the innovation of your technology. It's very important that you take your time and really speak to how your technology and innovation is different than other existing companies out there. You'll also see questions in the application that speaks to what are some of the other incumbent players. And again, how does your technology or innovation stand out to those incumbent players? Market opportunity is another area that will be up to 10 points. Implementation plan, which is a focus of the budget and milestone documents, are up to 20 points. Go-to-market strategy, up to 10 points. Economic and community impact, up to 10 points. And your team is up to 20 points. And again, applicants must score a minimum of 70 points on the scoring criteria to be recommended for an award or assigned bonus points. So you can only receive the bonus points that I'm about to go through if you receive a minimum of the 70 points. The bonus points that we apply to applications that receive a minimum of 70 points include companies is using technology initially developed at a New Jersey university under an executed license agreement with the university. If you have a women, minority, or veteran-owned New Jersey state certification, if you are primary place of business and research and R&D located within an opportunity zone, or a government restricted municipality. Or if lastly, if the company applying has not previously received a CSIT grant or voucher. These are the bonus points, again, that will be applied if, again, the application has a minimum score, has reached a minimum score of 70 points. Terms and conditions, also the compliance if an applicant receives our grants. There are reporting requirements we track over time with our awardees. All grants awardees must report economic impact data to CSIT upon completion of the project for an additional 2 years after the project completion by submitting an economic impact questionnaire This is highly important. This is how we track things in terms of increasing of staff, whether you've increased your investments or funding, whether you've increased your R&D space or labs. So it really allows us to tell the story of how our companies are doing, and again, how we can further assist. Also, there's a commitment to New Jersey that all of our awardees must adhere to. Agree that employees and consultants will conduct at least 50% of the work in New Jersey for a period of 2 years from the effective date of the grant agreement. And failure to comply may result in full repayment of the grant within 60 days of relocation or as conditions state in the grant agreement. It's very important to understand these compliance requirements, which are, again, additional requirements past the project period date. Other important information, again, our application portal is currently open. It will close, the application will close on July 14th, promptly at 5 p.m. If you have any questions regarding either of the programs, you can submit them to CSIT Catalyst at njeda.gov or CSIT Food AGR at njeda.gov. All of your questions received will be answered, and we'll also upload a FAQ document on each program page that will allow you to, that will also highlight the questions from today's webinar, as well as additional questions that you may have. Applicants may provide an electronic application signature by uploading a signed PDF. However, if an applicant prefers not to provide an electronic signature, the applicant may follow the instructions on the NOFA and online portal to provide a signature. Again, applicants with missing documents will receive an email from CSIT to submit or resubmit any missing or incomplete required documents. There is a resubmission period deadline, which will be stated in your email and letter. Any applications that do not include all the documents specified or contain documents that have not been completed will be considered incomplete and declined. So it's very important, again, that you pay attention to the resubmission letter that is sent to you if you are missing any documents. So what really makes a winning application? These are just, again, just a few tidbits that we would like applicants to really think through. One, be detailed and clear when describing your innovation project. Again, innovation is a huge chunk of the scoring criteria. Start early and review before you submit. Fully answer each question. There are word limits within some of the questions, so be mindful of that. Do not rush through the budget and milestone document. We've received applications in the past with ineligible budget items on there and milestones that were very vague. So please be very careful and mindful of these, of both documents, and submit application before 5 p.m. Again, you do not want to be shut out of the system. Just again, some program timelines to be mindful of: the open time, the close time, and roughly when the virtual presentations will be held. And again, we expect award announcements to be made around Q4, the fourth quarter of this year. I'll stop there, and I think we can open it up to I'll shoot it over to Francis to see if we have any questions in our Q&A section. But if you have any questions that we don't get to answer here, please submit any questions regarding the Catalyst program to the CSIT Catalyst at njeda.gov or CSIT Food AGR at njeda.gov, and our program officers will get back to you. So Francis, we can jump into any questions or comments that are in the Q&A.
Yes, we do have a few questions, Maku. The first one says, can one company apply for both grants for different projects?
Yes, that's a great question. So a company can only apply for one grant within one category. So you can only submit one application for either food or the therapeutic drug development. And within each of those grants, the company can only submit one application. So you can't submit 2 food applications. You can't submit 2 therapeutic drug discovery applications. You can only submit one application. If by mistake you submit 2 applications, we're going to circle back to you and ask you to really select which one you want to move forward with. So it's not a good use of your time. You're only allowed to submit one application.
Okay, the next one says, can funds be used for research conducted by third-party CROs for the project?
Yes, they can. Again, just be, as long as it's very clear R&D activities, that is possible.
This one you already answered. You cannot submit more than one grant. For the 10 bonus points for this being the first time receiving a CSIT grant, does the CSIT SBIR bridge grant count?
Yes, any CSIT grant that we offer, yes.
Okay. Will support letters from potential customers count towards scoring?
No, support letters, letters of support do not count towards scoring, and they're also not required. You're more than welcome to submit them, but they're not required, and they are not part of the scoring process.
The next question says, excellent presentation. Does an applicant company have to go to market within a certain time frame?
No, there are several go-to-market questions. We want to make sure that you do have a clear sense of how you look to market, scale up, if you are connected to various marketing channels, but we do not have a specific timeline. As one would have, as you can imagine, therapeutic drug discovery can have a different timeline than other food and agriculture programs. So no, we don't have a specific timeline, but within those marketing questions, those go-to-market questions, as specific as you can be is always helpful. So again, as thorough as you can be in answering those questions, but no, we do not have a specific timeline.
How does one go about getting a tax clearance naming CSIT?
So that's a great question. So on the program page, we have a PowerPoint deck that walks you through how to obtain a tax clearance, and that's going to be uploaded in addition to the webinar presentation, as well as this recording and other supportive documents. So if you need help, scan through that deck, how to obtain a tax clearance, and then again, feel free to shoot us an email, and we're happy to connect you with some of our contacts over at the Office of Taxation.
Okay, the next question says, are costs related to legal services or expert consulting applicable?
Yes. Again, if it falls into you're going after an IP or something in relation to that, just be mindful of that 30%. But the majority of the cost of our grants should be going to direct R&D. But we are mindful that 30% can support marketing and other similar matters that are around legal support. So, but just be mindful that you stay within that 30% margin, because again, these are strictly R&D grants.
Okay, next question is rental of incubator lab space for R&D activities and allowed expense.
So again, we are mindful of things like that. Most of our grants are really geared towards research and development activity. The EDA has programs that supports rental programs such as the NJ Ignite program. And we're happy to kind of we're happy to connect you to the program officer that leads that program. But our grants really should be geared towards direct R&D purposes.
Okay. The next question is a clarification. They are saying that you said we cannot apply to 2 food grants or 2 catalyst grants, but can one company apply for 1 food grant and 1 catalyst grant?
No. So you cannot apply for one. If you're applying for the catalyst grant, you cannot apply for the food and agriculture grant. If you're applying for the food and agriculture grant, you cannot apply for the catalyst grant. If you apply for the food and agriculture grant, you cannot submit 2 projects within that one category either. You can only submit 1 application per grant. So just to be clear, you can't apply for food and ag and a catalyst at the same time. You must pick one of the seed grants. And within that seed grant category, you can only submit 1 application. And this is really to allow our funding to support more applicants. And we will be, doing multiple rounds of these programs. So again, this is not hopefully one and done in terms of these areas, these industry areas. So we try to support as many companies as we can. And another note, which may come up in a question, is that we're looking to award 10 grant awards in the food and agriculture for the 10 seed grants for food and agriculture, and also 10 seed grants for the round 2 catalyst and the therapeutic drug discovery. So 10 and 10.
Okay, the next question, how do you know if your business is eligible for the grant? And is there someone that can walk you through the grant process?
Yeah, so, I'll be available to help, as well as my colleague Francis, when it comes to the food and agriculture program. I can't stress enough the importance of reading the entire notice of funding, which is currently on the program page, on the CSIT program page. You'll get a sense of, you'll have a clear sense of the eligibility requirements, the scoring requirements, the required documents, and all of the timelines. This webinar recording, as well as the slide deck that I just presented, will also be on those program pages. But the notice of funding is extremely important. We run into a lot of issues when companies just have not read the eligibility requirements. So just take your time, take a look at the notice of funding before you gather your team, before you even begin to apply, is extremely important. So you're not wasting your time, or you're gathering the necessary documents needed so you can go into the process well prepared.
Okay. This next question deals with the goals of the food and agricultural grant. Is the goal to help New Jersey farmers improve their yield / revenue, connect people with nutritious food, or something else?
So the overall goal is really for companies that are developing technologies. And again, this could be in non-retail food and beverage. This is non-retail food and beverage. Transportation and logistics. So again, you may be proposing, you may be trying to develop a technology that allows for more nutritious food to access areas within the state that that have a lack thereof. Technology is also one of the 4 areas. So you could be developing a software platform that strategically maps out healthy food sites and so forth. So it's not, it really has to fall within, first of all, those 4 industry areas of technology, transportation and logistics, life science, or non-retail food and beverage. And it's really about addressing a broad range of food insecurity in New Jersey. It's not for direct sales or direct manufacturing and distribution of your product. It's for the R&D. It has to have a very clear R&D component. So we can, again, kind of talk offline if there is a project that you're looking to propose and you're not sure if it fits or doesn't fit. But those are the kind of criteria that we're looking at.
Okay. Next question, can you provide more detail on the technology-based application for improved food access?
Yeah, so I just gave an example. So let's say you are a, you're a software development company and you have a platform that maps out, healthy food dispensary, locations throughout the state that individuals, residents can access, or you have, or that same platform can kind of provide a GPS or roadmap where individuals can access healthy foods, whether it's at farms or local urban gardens or food banks or so forth. So the technology, the software that you'll require to develop that, the technicians, the IT support and so forth, all of that can be, all of that would be eligible for, can speak to kind of the R&D that goes into developing that online platform. Again, or you can be creating, a very sophisticated hydroponic system that's growing healthy foods. So it really depends on your project. And again, we're happy to have any offline conversations with anyone who is thinking of a project and you're not sure if it's a good fit. We're happy to talk you through that. We won't tell you if it's, if it's a great project, but we will tell you if it's eligible for this grant.
Okay. Next question, is market research considered a direct R&D expense?
So you can have certain aspects of, again, when it comes to the budget, you don't want to, these are research and development grants. And again, we can talk offline about some of the budget components, but it really depends on how does that connect to the project specifically. It can't be the project in itself, but a certain aspect of it, if it aligns with your R&D project, can be incorporated into your budget. But we do really have to be mindful that typically it's, it's not the type of R&D we're looking for. But again, I think I'm happy to have an offline conversation. If you just shoot us an email for whichever program you're referring to, we can talk through that.
Next question is, is computing hardware, software for R&D an allowable cost?
Yes, that's an allowable. I would need a little bit more detail in terms of the project. But yes, if it's supporting a technology that is being developed, then that could be, again, I would need a little bit more details, but that could be an allowable cost within the R&D activities, within your R&D activities.
Can one company apply for a R&D seed grant as well as a voucher?
Yes, you can absolutely apply for a seed grant in addition to a voucher.
Next question, can the credit score of the owner affect scoring?
Absolutely not. Your personal credit score will not affect your scoring.
Next question, if a company has an ongoing seed grant from a different round, would it be eligible for this round?
Yes, you're eligible to apply for either seed grant if you currently have a CSIT seed grant.
And last question, we are concerned about protecting sensitive IP at this stage. How much detail do you require?
Yeah, so the application will ask for just, again, if you are going after an IP. If you are not, we ask if you intend to. We do ask for the kind of the title and the IP number, but again, you don't have to go into full detail. We're just tracking to see if companies are do or do not have an IP for their technology.
And that's the extent of the questions.
Okay, great. Well, again, if you have any further questions, feel free to send us an email. We're also happy to jump on a call if you have any questions around eligibility or the scope of your project. The applications, again, are live. They launched today and they will be closing on July 14th. Please do not wait to the last minute to submit your application. And we look forward to, to reviewing all of your great ideas and hopefully working with all of you.
Oh, we have one more if we can fit in one last question.
Yep.
For the food and agricultural grant, it is designed to improve food security statewide. How important is it to differentiate that the technology benefits New Jersey versus brings benefits to farmers in all states?
In all states. Yeah, that's a good question. And that will be, it's really a concentrated program, as this is a specific kind of New Jersey initiative. So there will be questions in the application that speaks to how it's really addressing food insecurity in New Jersey. But the technology itself, as you're speaking to the innovation of the technology, it's fine that you speak to it broadly, but there will be a few questions that really narrow the focus on how is this really going to address some of the issues that we're facing here in the state. So it's okay that, again, it's broader, but you'll see that we do have, and just to be mindful, there will be sample applications also on the program pages of the CSIT website. So if you want to take a look at the sample application questions, you can. But again, going back to that question, the food and agriculture grant is really a larger initiative to address food insecurity and just developing really new approaches to alleviate food deserts in New Jersey. So there is a targeted focus within this particular grant, but it doesn't mean that, of course, the innovation cannot speak to how broadly your technology can go. But again, the applications are online for you to scan through the questions and be well prepared.
And that's it now.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you, everyone. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to send us an email. And thank you all for joining us today.